guest, Brian Caprice from Keep Trading Simple. Before we jump into some of the discussion on what we saw over the evening last night and what to potentially look out for in regards to hot spots in the market today, I do have to go over this quick disclaimer per our compliance department, and that trading on Nadex does involve risk and is not necessarily appropriate for everyone. All trading decisions, solely your responsibility at your own risk. One thing that I really want to hammer home is at the end, this is for your education purposes only. This is an educational presentation. Please do not construe anything either Brian or myself say today as a buy or sell recommendation. Strictly educational. So with that, I would like to welcome my guest, Brian Caprice from
Thank you for having me today. I appreciate it.
Simple. Yep. So what did we see over the evening, and what do you want to look at today?
Yeah, so again, a couple different opportunities exist today. It was a rare morning where, not necessarily rare, but it's a morning where the UK session was the absolute firecracker for the day. We've had so much movement off the European Open, that 2-3 o'clock range in the morning. We've seen basically dollar strength across the board. We've seen the indices start to collapse already today, and typically when we see this much movement in the European session, there are typically reversal opportunities, abundant out there. So there's a couple different things I wanted to, kind of share. First things first, I want to dive right into the Aussie dollar. And I figured, Todd, this morning, what I'll do is I'll talk about where I can see potential reversals. If you want to take it back to the Nadex platform, you can kind of pair it up to, kind of what I talk about as far as knockouts or binaries. And then you can show everybody what kind of the charting looks like over on Nadex as well and compare it to mine.
Perfect. So let's go ahead and jump into your chart. You said you were going to bring up Aussie dollar first.
Sure. Yeah, actually, let me move. Let's see if we can get a little bit better. There we go. I just want to make sure we got a full piece here. So if I'm looking to the left, it's because it's the second trading monitor for me. So as you can see here, if you're looking at the this drop here, this bar at the top is a supply zone. So it's an area where I'm looking, and again, there's potential sellers. Well, obviously there were sellers there. It hit and it collapsed. It just dropped through the floor today, and this is more movement than we normally see. How do I know that? Well, if you guys have used ATR in the past, I can go to a daily ATR and say, hey, listen, the average move is about 62 pips that this thing will move in an entire 24-hour period of time. To this morning, 6 hours ago, you're able to take the same exact reading and you're at 99 pips. So it's 1.5 times the amount of movement in 6 hours. So obviously a big emotional move to the downside. Another thing I want to highlight about this and why I think this could be a potential reversal is the fact that, again, the curve for me is basically highs and lows of an area for our trading day. And when you're at the extremes, that typically signals a great place to go long or short. Being that we are now low in the bottom 30% of the curve area, again, I'm looking kind of just naturally, if I just looked at this and said, we're here, I would naturally be saying, hey, listen, I'm a little bit more, bullish focused. Combine that with the absolutely huge emotional kind of fall to the downside. Again, it's coinciding with areas where we've seen sellers in the past. I mean, sellers have stepped in and created a rally, and then even again right below that, this 70.07 area. Typically, again, stacking these odds in your favor, being low in the curve, a highly emotional morning with massive amounts of movement, and then two areas of buyers below. It typically for me is an area where I'm saying, hey, listen, where can I find a long? Okay. Things that I would look for in this one, being that it is a reversal, I think it does pair up naturally to a knockout. There may be some binaries in here as well, but why don't you jump across the Nadex and see if you can find a knockout over here that would match somewhere approximately around that 70.07 level.
So let's definitely do that. I'm going to go ahead and jump over to the platform here. You were talking about the knockouts in the Aussie dollar, so I'm going to go ahead and bring that up real quickly. Give me 1 second here. There we go. And I'm just going to go ahead and populate that chart. Let's take a look at it. First things, I think I'm going to make this an hourly chart. I think that'll be.
Yeah, I'm on the hourly as well.
Yep, oh, good. And in fact, let's go ahead and pull away any drawings that I've done in the past. And indeed, I can see here we are. You were talking about that 70.07 level. Let me go ahead and
that's the first one. Yep, that's the farther away point. And again, there's two of them kind of piggyback on top of each other. But you always want to make sure when you're using knockouts that you're cognizant of the ceiling and the floor, and that would be kind of the ceiling level. We want to make sure we're somewhere within that range.
Perfect. So, I mean, I just wanted people to be able to see that. Now I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit. Let's take a look at what's Fibonacci is doing too here. I think it helps sometimes to be able to see some of that. We're definitely seeing some resistance up here. We were definitely seeing some support down below that you were looking at. So where are some of those levels? There we go. And indeed, we're seeing a little bit of aggregation here at this 70.62 level in Fibonacci. But again, you're looking for a reversal, and you were looking for a little bit of a washout down below. What are some of our Nadex knockout possibilities? I think this first knockout might be the 70.37 floor. Probably a little too high.
It's a little bit close. That one as it's moving down closer to that 70.07, that one would most likely get stopped out.
So right. So the next one down, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and this has got that 69.87 floor. So if we did come down to that level that you were kind of looking at, that's in the 70.07-ish range. This would give you a little bit of room to the downside and to not get knocked out. And again, this would be an opportunity down here potentially.
I mean, like I said, it's a potential reversal level. The things I like about it is it will, again, being so close that you're, within basically $13 or 13 points or whatever. It is in close proximity, so your risk is low. If for some reason there's not enough buyers there to, kind of halt this emotional response, at least the risk is very, very low. One thing that I always look for is at least kind of a 1 to 3 risk to reward ratio. So, it's pretty exciting when you see kind of where it's basing right now, that 23.6 Fibonacci retracement. If you're taking it based off of that risk of that 70.07 level, your risk level, it looks like there's at least three levels of risk before we get back to that 23.6%. Right. So again, decent trade setup. I mean, like I said, it's take it. Everybody's risk is a little bit different, but it's an area where I think the probabilities are lined up, and potential.
Excellent. So yeah, it's definitely something for people to be on the lookout today. Let's go ahead and I'm gonna. We've still got some time. Let's take a look at another market.
I do have one more if we have it. So let's switch across. And NQ is another one that I was interested in looking at. Again, this is a smaller time frame position. This is more of kind of more of an intraday trade than anything else, as we've seen lately. The indices tend to whip back and forth. A lot of people like them. Futures traders get in there and they love it, right? But this is kind of the same thing. Since early this morning, you guys can see where the cursor is moving. We've had quite a large drop since 3 o'clock in the European session. Now, what does the NQ have to do with the European session? The reality is nothing. This is really driven from the European markets. A lot of times when we see that, again, there can be the reversal, but typically when it's negative, the retail trader steps in and also says, well, wait a second, everybody else is selling. I need to sell it too, which can also continue to move this back to the downside. So, unlike the last one, we were looking for a reversal. This one, I'm actually looking at a level here, and it's kind of it's blurred. What I'm looking for is what I would call a continuation pattern, right? It's coming down, it's basing, and what I'm looking for is a little bit more of a push at base and then a pullback, and that pullback will actually give us our established level of risk. Right now it's gone a little bit far. I'd like to have a little bit more confirmation as it pulls back, but then I'm looking for kind of a push to the downside. So it's one of those things. Reversal areas are great, but the more times that the price enters a reversal area, the less percentage that it's going to hold. A specific level is not going to hold forever. Eventually, it will break. The more water that hits the dam, eventually it can't take it and it pushes through. It's kind of the same thinking on this one. So, because this one is a continuation pattern, though, it is going to be a little bit harder to kind of time this one for knockouts. Because again, it would have to be like right there. I mean, it's not that it's not possible. So again, definitely go check that one out. But a lot of times when you see these early morning bases like this, again, that could lead into some of the shorter term binaries, maybe one of the 2 hours as well. But why don't you go check those and see if either of those two match up. I'm looking for a knockout that the ceiling would have to be approximately 112.65 at its highest.
All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. Give me a second here. We're going to go ahead and jump back over to the Nadex platform. Let's go ahead and we'll start with the knockouts. Why not? I'm going to jump over to the indices, although you mentioned that the binary options might be a better play. With the NASDAQ, we're obviously talking about the US Tech 100. Let's go ahead and bring up the chart. You know what? I'm going to make this a 30-minute chart. I think that's
I use the lower ones for indices. My bad.
Yeah, which is great. One, you're right. I mean, we are looking at a downtrend. It's not difficult to see that the Nasdaq index has clearly been in a downtrend here, but you're looking for a potential pullback and then an opportunity to see a continuation of that trend. Let's
Yeah,
get
I'd like to get it on sale instead of
yeah,
trying to buy
right.
at the bottom or try to sell at the bottom. Nobody
I
wants to sell at
like
the bottom.
I like everything on sale. That's how I
Yeah.
buy everything.
Yeah, looking for a sale price.
And you were so let's see. You were thinking about something with a 112.65, and look at that. In fact, we do have one here that's
Oh, that's
got
perfect. 112.68.
right the 112.68 ceiling on that one. So right, if we were to see some type of pullback, that at some point there might be an opportunity if it were to come back up to this level where you could potentially take that short position, knowing that if it continue to rally higher, your losses are limited.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's in the middle of the knockout, so it would make sense to again get it on sale when it pulls back. And again,
Yep.
depending on the time of day, we may get a decent pullback on that one.
Right, and if you get it, and there's an opportunity to sell it and see a continuation of that downtrend, there's something there. You mentioned the knockouts. Let's just take the binary options. I apologize. Let's just go ahead and take a look at the binary options for the US Tech 100, and let's go ahead and take a look at the daily ones. Just because I think this is kind of a shorter term potential play. And you were looking at we're looking at 112.65. What do we got? What do we got near there? Here, we got the 112.68 here as well. Right. So here's that possibility. If we were to see a pullback back up towards this 112.65, 68-ish level, you would see these probabilities go closer to 50-50, and that might be an opportunity to sell. I mean, obviously you don't want to do it now. It's there's not
the
a
risk
lot.
reward ratio doesn't make sense for it now. It's one of those things that again you got to catch those pullbacks early. At this point, if we can get another pullback into that level, at least we've seen sellers step in. The response off that level looks great right now. Again, you can see 3 candles straight down, an hour and a half of really strong movement. That's typically a nice sign in there that, hey, listen, there had to have been sellers that are forced that price down. And again, another emotional response. So we're looking to get back in there again. And then I'd be looking to take something, maybe the 11,200 would be a little bit out of the money binary if we can get that pullback. And then again, playing the break below where we are now.
Excellent. So, Brian, I want to thank you for joining us today. Hopefully everyone got a little something to take out of it, places that you could be looking at in the markets. And what I would like to say is Brian and I will be doing this every morning. And so hopefully you'll be able to come back and join us tomorrow. With that, I'd like to wish everyone good luck in the markets today, and we will catch you later. Thanks, everyone.
Sounds good. Take care.